I'm gonna be clear off rip. I did not know that Blade was dropping today. Dropping him on a Sunday completely threw me the fuck off. I was planning on having something prepared for essentially what I'm about to do separately, and I was going to upload it separately and sort of explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But no, there's no clickbait in the title or anything. I'm basically done with this free-to-play experiment that I have been doing, mainly because it hasn't really gained me any real advantage whatsoever, and it seems like it's holding me back from being able to do what I want to do and being able to enjoy the game the way that I want to enjoy it. So I said I want to say 3 or so weeks ago I made a post where I said that if they left M-Blade in a good position where he was actually worth pulling for and he was actually going to be really good, I would break free to play for him, and I am going to do that. But before I do that, I just want to be clear that I haven't done anything yet. Like, I still have nothing on my account currently. I was going to start putting stuff onto my account today and wait for next week for Blade to come out. But again, didn't realize that he was going to be dropping on a Sunday because I haven't been paying attention. But it's fine, I guess. It doesn't really matter that much. The only thing I missed out were the pool rewards, but boo-hoo. It doesn't matter. We're just going to have to hold an L there. It is what it is. I guess to start off, I guess we should just go over what I do have on my account from a light cone perspective. This is effectively what my light cone lineup looks like. Obviously I am a free to play, but some people, they don't consider you to be a free to play because you have eidolons, because you have this, that, and the third. I don't have a single battle pass light cone on my account. I've never put anything on my account. I've never bought any of that shit for my account. That much should be glaringly obvious. You can see every single light cone that I own, and none of these are battle pass light cones. I mean, we can scroll further down, but this is a gigantic collection that I essentially have because I've been playing for how many days? Let me check. I can actually drag it over. I've been playing for 1,108 days. You can see how many characters I have unlocked, how many treasures I have opened, how many achievements that I have unlocked, and all that other jazz. I'm also going to show you guys really quick my warp tracker history. I have showed it, multiple times already, but just for clarity's sake, I will include it again. Regardless, you guys can see that I have got Evanesha, failed my 50-50. It is what it is. The first standard banner character that I got was Himiko. The first limited that I got was Seele. Oh, we gotta go back. Jesus. April 30th, 2023 is a crazy date. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, you can see that this goes like really far back. I guess I should explain what my plan was for my account at the beginning. I would say at the beginning, I was pretty much just doing whatever I felt like doing. If I liked the character, I ended up pulling him. I liked Seele, so I ended up pulling them. I liked Jingyuan, so I pulled them. I thought Luocha was going to be a great healer. He served his purpose. Same thing for Fu Xuan. I got the E1. I love Jinglu, which is the reason why I went for the E1 here. It was around this time frame. Yeah, around October of 2023 was when I started experimenting with sustainless clears. I wasn't able to actually start doing sustainless clears until I got Bronya. Once I got Bronya, then I was able to start doing zero cycles and things of that nature. And then that sort of compounded upon itself once I got Acheron. And that's when I was able to do Mach 7 through 10, start doing zero cycles from there. And that was fun. For a long period of time, I was effectively, I just had to struggle. And that's one of the things that newer free-to-play players can't really relate to, You do not have to struggle as a newer free-to-play player if you don't want to, because you get to avoid effectively all the bricks in the game. One of the characters that I would consider to be a brick at this time would be Jing Yuan. I have no use for this dude, but because you guys have the ability to actually go through all of these reputable sources. I mean, you have content creators like Global Certified, you have Mr. Pokey, you have Waveman, you have I Was Bag. I mean, you have Chewy, you have a lot of good content creators that you can get information from in order to progress. And it's not to say that there weren't good content creators, but I guess the quality of content has only improved as time has progressed. So you guys are in a much better position because most of the characters that have come out within the past couple of years have been pretty good. So you've been able to avoid, grabbing a bunch of E0 characters that don't really have a bunch of use cases in the modern meta. I didn't really believe in doing vertical investment when I first started. So you'll see that basically all I did was pull E0s. This was like the only there was three E1s that I got. My E1 Fushuan, my E1 Jinglu, and my E1 Ruame. I didn't particularly believe in pulling in Eidolons that much because I felt like that took away from the free-to-play experience. But I've realized that over time that if you want to do well at the highest levels of the game, you're going to have to pull Eidolons. It's not really optional. This weird idea that you can't be free to play if you pull Eidolons literally doesn't make any sense. People are trying to redefine free to play in order to justify them being bad at the game. So right now I'm basically just in a process where I have too many E0 teams on my account, which is preventing me from scaling up the way that I want to, because I keep having to pull new higher level teams in order to keep up with the meta. And while I could continue to do that for the entirety of this version, it would be a pain in the ass for me to do that, pretty much. You guys already saw I did a sustainless clear with my Cyrene and Evernight against that Illwish boss. It was a pain in the ass. At this point, I think that I've done everything that I've wanted to do. When I came into this, I was basically trying to see how far I could take my free-to-play account, and I did not anticipate for this experiment to last for effectively 3 years. And I think that I've done enough. I mean, I basically was able to clear the hardest content in the game. I was able to 3-star the king 5 times in a row. I was able to fully 3-star clear the entirety of Anomaly Arbitration. I was able to true zero cycle over a year ago. I've repeated that since then. I've gotten 80k in Pure Fiction. I've gotten 7,700 plus points in Apocalyptic Shadow. I've sustainless cleared Pure Fiction. I've sustainless cleared Apocalyptic Shadow. I've done all the things that I've wanted to do, right? And then I also sustainless cleared the king. So it's like, how much further can I take this where it would actually be worth it for me? Would it be fun for me to continue to essentially keep my hands behind my back to keep doing this stuff? Does anyone actually care? And I think that the general consensus for most players is no. No one really cares about free-to-play content that much anymore. And one of the things that I came across a video where people were saying that essentially free-to-play clears don't mean much anymore. And the reason why I say that is because, again, if you came in like version 3, version 4, and you went ahead and you got yourself a E4 Cyrene or an E6 Phynon, and you decide you're going to post a zero cycle or something somewhere, people are going to shit on you and say you're not free to play. You have an E4 character, you have an E6 character. So if people are going to keep redefining what free to play means, keep defining what relatability means, what exactly am I doing this for? Aside from challenging myself. I've already challenged myself. I've done everything that I wanted to do. So there's no point in me continuing something that it's not advantageous for me. It's not going to help me get more subs or views on my channel. As a matter of fact, if you go through my old gameplay showcases, you'll see the majority, they barely cross 100 views, if even that. I think the highest viewed showcase that I had was over 1,000 views. But that's about it. Most of them are below 100 or they get around 100 and then they stop, right? And I realize, I want to say, going into version 3, I said, you know what, I'm going to start making voiceover videos. I'm going to start actually talking about my journey, what I've been doing, da 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 da. And the video that sort of changed things for me was that facial video where I basically did a 0 cycle on both sides of Memory of Chaos with a 4-cost facial. And that's what brought some other better players than me onto my channel and put eyes on my channel. And I started to gain more subs since then. And so I realized that if I wanted to continue growing my channel, that the best way of actually doing that is just to continue speaking about the game, trying to be, I guess, a resource for those that are looking for a differing opinion. I feel like there's a lot of too much similar sounding opinions within the space. That's the reason why I started in the first place. I actually started YouTube because people were bad-mouthing Bailu. I didn't particularly care for it. So I decided to make a video showing how good she was, and I did multiple videos like that. And I basically kept going from there. Silverwolf released all the way back in 2023. I thought people were completely overglazing her. People were treating Silverwolf then like they treat Tribby now. They were basically saying that she was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I said that she was overrated. I called it, like, literally right before she came out, I said she's overrated, I'm not grabbing her. And then Ruame came out. And then people slowly stopped using Silverwolf because I said that Silverwolf essentially was one of those characters where with less options, she's going to be really good. But the instant you get more options, she's going to fall off. As someone who has played other turn-based gacha games, my favorite turn-based gacha game is Langrisser Mobile. I played that game for about 2 to 3 years. I spent about $500 on it, right? One of my favorite characters in that game is Bolzel. Bolzel is effectively an AoE monster, an AoE debuffing monster. I'm talking about this dude drops 6+ debuffs on your head. He has good single target damage and good AoE damage. I don't know if he's still meta in that game now, but he should be. He's really, really good. So when I'm looking at a unit like Silverwolf, again, this is still a turn-based game. I'm like, with no AoE and all she does is spam single target, that's going to fall off really damn quickly. It's going to get old really quickly. And I was right. And so that's the reason why they had to Nova Flare her and add AoE capabilities. They buff her amping capabilities a little bit. And now she's a much better unit. So that's the reason why when I saw Tribby and I looked at her kit and I realized, oh, this is a really flawed kit. But for some reason, I saw effectively everybody shilling the fuck out of her. I was like, why? This character she's not it. I said, the instant that better options come along, she's going to fall off a cliff. I said, I'm going to keep using my Robin and Ruame because I'm still going to do well with them. And sure enough, I actually did better, objectively better, moving forward in the version 3, without ever using Tribby. I full 3-star cleared the entirety of Anomaly Arbitration, the supposed whale mode, as a free-to-play player. Now we have Modern X Blade, who's coming out today, obviously. And he is everything that I ever wanted. And he is much better than Tribby is, so I'm going to pull him. And that's the reason why I'm breaking free-to-play for him. So I think that a unit like Modern X Blade is going to age significantly better than Tribby. And although, and this is to be fair, generalists are going to, as a collective, are not going to age that well because the nature of the way that the developers have designed the game, right? They have already made a determination that in order to allow these characters, these teams to gain continual value, that they're going to have to create niches. They're going to have to create teams. It allows them to make more money, and it allows these characters to retain longer viability. So, with the existence of even M-Blade, one of the things that people unironically think is that M-Blade is just going to come in and he's going to start, as an example, and this is something that's funny, is they're using M-Blade now. They're saying that M-Blade is going to replace Cyrene in her best in slot teams, which is a literal lie. There's nothing to support that argument. As a matter of fact, Global Certified, who is my favorite theory crafter, literally just uploaded a video, I want to say like a couple hours ago, showing that M-Blade has specific issues that all generalist supports have, and you're not going to be able to use him to replace Cyrene in her best teams. You can use M-Blade as a side grade. you can use it to free up Cyrene because of how absurdly overpowered she is. You can use her on a different team, but he's not going to be able to replace her in her best in slot teams. And that makes sense, because why would the developers allow that to happen? Because again, if you create a character that's legitimately that good, you lose the reasoning to pull anything else, any other amplifiers beyond that. If he's that good, where he's better than Cyrene, then via that same logic, you can use him to replace Yao Guang. Why use Yao Guang in Elation if you could just pull Blade? Why would you use Dahlia in Super Break if you could just use Blade? Like, and this is the problem with these delusional people. If I take your same logic and I start applying it to other different teams, it doesn't make any sense. But they don't get that. They're just blinded by their hatred of Cyrene. They want Cyrene to fall off. They want her to be bad because they spent the entirety of version 3 glazing the fuck out of Tribby. It didn't work out for them. I told them that they were wrong. People thought that I was stupid. They thought I was crazy. I'm not a theory crafter, not a guide maker, but I made the right call because I have the experience. I have 10 years of gacha experience. I started off playing Grand Order, Fate Grand Order. I was playing that. I played Langrisser Mobile. I played Punishing Great Raven. I played a lot of gacha games, right? I played a lot of gacha games. And I know how these developers think. I know how they tick. And based off of the experience that I've had with other turn-based gacha games, I know that it doesn't make sense when they're trying to create teams to create a universal amplifier that's going to power creep all the niche amplifiers. Of course, if you want to use your Blade on your, Cyrene teams, of course you can do that. It'll work. It'll be good, but it's not going to be better than Cyrene. It's pretty obvious. And if she's not, if you think that that's not true, then the onus, the burden of proof is on you to support it. Do you have the calcs? Do you have the data? Do you have the clearances? What do you have? Because there's no theory crafter that's going to back up your argument. That's the reason why you'll see that a lot of theory crafters had to backtrack on Tribby, because they were all saying that Tribby was going to outweigh Cyrene long term, and they all had to backtrack on it because Cyrene surpassed all their expectations. They thought all this willy-nilly garbage kit is not going to last long. They said that, within 6 months or so, she's going to start losing significant value. Well, that didn't work out because Monorim is still the #1 non-shield team in the game. And we still know that Cyrene is best in slot for at least like 8 or 9 different characters. So there's not going to be some instance where Cyrene is just going to magically lose relevance. Because if she lose relevance by that same logic, then every single niche amplifier would lose relevance. If a niche amplifier as strong as Cyrene falls off a cliff and becomes useless, then what are you going to say about Dahlia? Why pull Yao Guang? Why pull any niche amplifier if someone like Cyrene is going to fall off? Anyway, going back to my point, now that we're in a position where we can actually just say, screw it, we're not going to bother basically keeping our hands behind our back and continuing this free-to-play experiment, I'm going to end up pulling for Morin Blade, going to end up pulling for E2 Cyrene, and I'm going to end up pulling for probably Gilgamesh and Ren. But this is my my warps here. This is my light cone warps. These are my stellar warps. You can see that my luck is kind of all over the place. I used to get a lot more early wins at the beginning, and you can see that it has just only gotten worse over time. So I don't know if the developers start fucking around with they start fucking around with my my pull luck or whatever, but I went from going basically green, red, yellow, and just alternating like that back and forth to, you can see the past 10 pulls have literally just been all late, effectively. I only had one early. So I can't continue to play the game like this. I don't know that this is the developers bullying me or what. I don't know. I don't care. It is what it is. That's my 5-star warps. Light cone warps have always been late. Never really been good on that front. Same thing for Stellar. I mean, pretty much everything has been late. I've only recently started getting some earlies, but it's about it. My first 5-star was Bailu, who is my most commonly used sustain for a pretty long while. Then we got Saber, and we have her light cone. So now that we got all of that nonsense out the way, let me see what else do I actually want to cover here while we're having this conversation. I guess I should just go over my achievements. I guess, as I've already said, I had, I'm not sure what's going on here. I have 3 of these here, but they keep resetting these damn medals. I don't understand why they don't just let you create a wall of medals. But I do have 5 clearances here. A8 in the Currency Wars. A8 Currency Wars. X7 Inorganic General within the simulated universe. I could get to X9, but it's a pain in the ass. I don't know whether or not I actually want to waste my time doing it. So we'll see. Going down my other achievements here, I didn't really go that far in Storm Disaster. I never really cared about this mode. It was a pain in the ass for me as a free-to-play player, but I am at difficulty 5. I still have some J's available here. Maybe I'll circle back and clear that. Golden Gears, I really didn't give a shit about this mode. The reason why I didn't care about this mode is because it took too long. That's the primary issue, is that it took too long. Unlike this current simulated universe where you can sort of you can speed run, the amount of time that it took to clear one of these, it took too long. It took I had to literally dedicate 45 minutes to an hour of my time every single time that I wanted to do one of these. And if I messed up, then my run is just completely reset. So I didn't really do anything with this. Obviously, if I wanted to go back and do it now, I could. I don't like this mode. So that's the way it is. And then we also have the unknowable domain, which I have 100% progress on. Other than that, these are the support characters that I have, but I will go over the builds for those shortly. And of course, you guys already saw all this stuff because I pulled it over in the tab. I guess we'll go over the characters here. I would say that there are some characters that I definitely wish that I did not pull, for certain. One of the characters I wish that I never pulled was, unfortunately, is Zhao Q here. Pulled him on a whim because I basically was like, you know what, maybe he is the best of the slot for Acheron. Maybe he is. And I loved Acheron, right? Well, actually, I'm not loved. I still do love Acheron. That's literally the reason why I'm pulling for Modern X Blade. But he has been a pretty big brick. I mean, I have no use for this dude. I spent 80 pulls on him. Nothing really came of that. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. Sometimes you're going to pull characters that are not that useful for you. He was fun to have, but not that useful overall. So I don't really have anything positive to say about him. I would say the biggest brick on my account, just because I got the least amount of usage of him, was him. The other second brick currently is Fugue, another character that I pulled because I liked Ting Yun, and I also wanted to test out Super Break Acheron, and I also wanted to test out my E6 Himiko with her and hopefully extended her lifespan, because I have my Himiko at E6, and I'll show you guys that in a bit. But yeah, she's a second brick. I have not invested in Super Break at all, so she's just kind of sitting here wasting my resources. And then I would say the third brick of all the characters that I have pulled is Genuine. Genuine was great. The only reason why I'm not saying he's not my biggest brick, because he actually helped me get my first MOC clear. That was all the way back in... I actually might... This is the best part about having a... The best part about having a free-to-play channel is I can literally go back and show you guys anything that I say. I can literally back it up because I actually went out of my way to record my experiences. So if I go ahead and go onto my channel, I do have a Memory Chaos playlist. So I'm just going to show you guys really quick. This is the back end of my channel. And you can see that all the way this long ago, it was October 7th, 2023. So he's not like, he wasn't the worst brick that I pulled. I'm not going to give him that. I'm not going to disrespect him like that, because I actually was able to do this in October because of him. But as it stands currently, doesn't really have a lot of use cases for me. So, you know, that's just the way it is, unfortunately. Other than that, We do have, I guess I should go over the characters that I have on the back end. I will slowly just go through the eidolons of all the 4 stars that I have. E6 Misha, E6 Jin Q, I got E6 Dan Heng. I don't know how I don't have an E6 Sampo, but it is what it is. E6 Arlon, E6 Hook, E6 Luca, E6 Lings, E6 Serval, E6 Natasha, E6 Wukong. I am very, very, very disappointed about Wukong. Wukong is one of my favorite 4 stars of all time. She was one of the original crit supports, and I used her a lot. I enjoyed using her. I put a lot of stock into making her as good as possible, but better supports come out. They make your other supports look like shit. It is what it is, right? I got an E6 Wukong. This is one of my other favorite 4-star characters, which is Jue Yi. I actually still have her built, but I basically started using her around the time that they made those damn dinosaurs popular in Penacony, which had those large toughness bars. And I was able to use Jue Yi in order to bypass those dinosaurs. So I owe a lot to Jue Yi, one of my favorite 4 stars all time. Same thing for Moz. I currently don't have him built because I don't have any reason to, but of course I have him E6 as well. He was actually one of the reasons why I was able to continue to do like basically fully sustainless clears. And again, as always, I can go ahead and, you know, show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Around this time frame here is when I started abusing Moz in order to do my basically my fully sustainless. So you can see in the description, it says if it wasn't for Hule, this would have been my first 7 to 12 sustainless run. So that was largely due to Moz. Moz is really, really good for a very long time. He's still good now. He's just not great. So I owe a lot to Moz for what I was able to accomplish. And he's one of the reasons why I continue to double and triple down on doing sustainless clears. So big ups Moz, one of the GOAT 4 stars for sure. But I have him obviously at E6. Pela, I can sit here and glaze Pela forever. I miss Pela, man. I really do. She was one of the GOATs for sure for just general amplification abilities. She's actually the reason why the original Silver Wolf started to fall off, because people were like, why the hell am I going to waste my time using a single target debuffer when we already have an AoE Pela? Doesn't make sense, right? So she was one of the GOATs. I haven't used her for a very long time, but she does have a few use cases here and there, especially with the existence of Cyrene and Evernight. If you run stainless, I mean, she does provide Ice Res pin. I think she provides that on her E4. So you can reduce the target's Ice Res by 12% for 2 turns. So, haha, funny use case that you would never really expect, but the best players in the world will always find a way to pull out the most irrelevant characters of all time and somehow still make them usable. And so Pela does have some use cases there. So big ups to Pela. Next, Gwenhyphen. Gwenhyphen is one of my GOATs, one of my favorite 4 stars all time. I don't know why she never got the respect that I feel like that she deserved. She was one of the reasons why I was able to run my Acheron at E0 as 0 for such an extended period of time. I literally used Gwenhyphen with March 7th, and I'm not even joking, I was able to do low-cost clears because of those 2, along with Pela. So really solid 4-star. Of course, her debuffs at this point in the game are very severely outdated. But back in the day, definitely one of the GOAT Nihility units. Unfortunately, because of the way that Nihility units were designed, I mean, a lot of these units are like effectively moot in today's meta. So it is unfortunate, but I do want to give big ups to Gwenhyphen for supporting me along my free-to-play journey. Another 4-star that I really enjoyed using. Of course, there's not much to say about Gallagher. Gallagher is one of the greatest free-to-play sustains that we've ever received. I haven't really used him that much recently, of course. Not much reason for me to do so. But, you know, he's still there. He's still a pretty solid sustain. I would say of all the units that have, all the 4-stars that are in the game, he is one of the ones that have aged the best, along with Mose. So, yeah, these two have both aged pretty well. And I'm grateful to him as well. Su Sheng, Su Sheng. I have her at E6 as well. Su Sheng was literally one of the first 4-stars that I actually tried to seriously use as a DPS. I love Su Sheng. She is one of the most fun 4-stars I've ever had the pleasure of using. I wish that there was a 5-star version of her so that I could pull her without question. But of course, right now she's just not great. But I do owe her a great deal. Big ups to Su Sheng as well. I did try to use Hanya at some points of the game, but never really could find a good use case for her. It's not that she's bad or anything. It's just that there's just better options. So she's here. You know, she exists, but I don't have a lot of positive things to say about her, just being honest. Luocha is the first limited sustain that I got, E0 S0. I still have him built out of respect for him. He has some of the strongest pure healing in the game. I just wish that there was more that he could do from an amplification perspective that wasn't hidden behind these Eidolons. E1 is pretty trash. His E2 is solid, but you only really get any value once you get him at E6. And it's like, why would you go all the way up to E6 for frickin' Luocha? Like, what is even the point? So, I'm hoping that he gets Nova Flared at some point. We'll see. I don't have a lot of faith. But we gotta wait it out and see what happens, really. Next, we got Dr. Ratio, who we got for free. I had a lot of fun with this character as well, but unfortunately, he didn't have enough supports to properly keep him in the meta for an extended period of time. He fell off pretty rapidly. I mean, we did have Moles and whatnot, but he can never stay at the top of the meta for any real extended period of time. I think he might have been meta for like 3 to 4 months after he came out and then slowly started to fall off. So, unfortunate, but this is the thing that's funny, is he is a follow-up unit. And therefore, if I were to pull Murder Next Blade, hypothetically, I could use him with Ratio, and maybe Ratio will improve as a character with the existence of Murder Next Blade. I would be very surprised if that didn't happen, but it is something to consider. So, there's Dr. Ratio. Of course, we have Seele, who is the first limited that I got on my account. I still have her at E0 S0. If it wasn't for her, I really wouldn't have been able to get my first MLC 10 clear back 3 years ago. And she was one of the units that I actually got my first zero cycle with her. She was the person that first allowed me to dip my toes into zero cycles. I got my first Mach 7 zero cycle with her. And then I sort of just extended further and further beyond that until I was able to go Mach 10, Mach 11, so on and so forth. You get the point. But I do not regret using Seele or getting her under any circumstances. I was using her for effectively 2 years pretty frequently. So 2 years worth of usage from a version 1 unit is pretty nice. And the fact that she got Nova Flared allows her to, extend a bit further beyond her initial use cases. But I still think that the Nova Flare was, it just wasn't it, right? So that's Seele. Next, we have Bronya, who is the reason why I was able to extend further into my zero cycle journey. She basically turned my Jinglu into a goddamn menace. I was doing my low cost zero cycles initially because of her. Of all the standard banners in the game, she was, heavy emphasis, she was the best. Now the best would be Welt without question, but she still has use cases to this very day. She's really good. And the thing that's interesting is that she can still advance other Harmony units, which is something that her replacement Sunday can't do. So that allows her to do some pretty haha funny things. And if you get her E4, you can actually use her in sustained teams. So hypothetically, you could do some haha funny things with Bronya and E4 Bronya and Modern X-Blade. I don't know if anybody's actually going to try that, but the option is there, right? So that's Bronya. I never pulled for him initially. I wasted a bunch of 50-50s and got him. So don't have a lot to say about him. He's alright. But when I first saw that, basically I liked his design, I liked his gameplay when I saw him, but I didn't think it was worth pulling for him. So I ended up skipping him for Jinglu, and I don't really regret that. We already went over Jing Yuan, so I'm not going to cover that. I briefly used Japard. I mean, Japard is Japard. He's never really been a good sustainer. I mean, he had his little emergency shield going, and that's about it. I was able to muck about with him with Acheron for a little while, but never anything long term. He's never been more usable than, for example, Bailu, and Fu Xuan and Luocha has served me much better long term than he ever has. So maybe they'll know a flare him at some point, but if they do, I have no idea what that's going to look like. We'll see, I guess. Next, we got Yang Xing, who is... I have a little bit of a secret. Yang Xing is actually my second favorite standard banner character in this game. He is really, really fun to use. I actually was mucking about with him in Simulated Universe, testing him with Sunday, DHPT, and Robin. And I was actually mucking about in X5 with him and actually clearing with him, which is pretty goddamn funny to me. So he's one of the... I think he's basically the original Jing Lu, where when the game first came out, he was really, really meta because he was super easy to build and he had good numbers and could do good damage. But obviously right now he's not that great. That's the reason why I got pissed off when I saw that Welt was going to get buffed and not my main man Yang King. So kind of sad that he never got the buff that he so rightfully deserved. But if he does, I want to be clear. I'm going to take the dust off. I'm not even joking. I've secretly been using this dude behind the scenes in Simulated Universe for shits and giggles. And I still enjoy using him. It's just that he doesn't do enough damage, right? I think that if they made it so that his follow-up that can freeze was actually 100% chance, he'd be a much better unit. I really, really wish that he got buffed. I wanted him to get buffed really badly and it just didn't happen. Moving on to Clara. I never really did anything with Clara. Clara, I built her for shits and gigs. So you can see that I have her traces maxed out. I, tested her here and there, but counter characters in this game are just they're not great. So it is what it is. You hate to see it, right? Now for my other 4 stars, of course, we got the E6 March. And like I said, I have E6 Preservation March as well, who I was using pretty regularly with Acheron when she came out, just because her ability to use the trend light cone basically just let you do a lot of low cost clears, and it was pretty consistent back in the day. But of course, once Fei Xiao came out, I started using Hunt March, who is still viable to this very day, by the way. And that's the reason why I still have her built. Sometimes I'll pull her out for shits and giggles just to see if she's usable. I think I actually have some clears on my channel using her with Archer and sustainless clears. And I was able to zero cycle, I think it was Mach 11 that was able to zero cycle with her and my E0 Archer. So if you put a lot of effort into her, she'll still perform. It's just not going to be the same level as the meta carries that exist in the game, but she's still pretty solid. Ting Yun is one of the greatest 4 stars to have ever released in this game. Damn near permanent utility just for her ability to spam DDD and provide energy to a single character. It's just that because the amplifications that she provides is so piss poor that you're just better off using RMC or some other character other than her at this point in the game. She most likely is never going to see any real meta resurgence because you're better off using Ho-Ho. There's Cyrene in the game, but she served me well for a very, very, very long time, damn near 3 years. So one of the GOATs, gotta tip my hat to her as well. Herta, I actually wanted to be a Herta main back in the day, but I stopped building her because I didn't think that it was viable. But then once they dropped Jade and I got my E6, I thought it'd be haha funny to test the two out. And it's literally because of mini Herta and Jade that I was able to do well in Pure Fiction for well over a year. So I still have her built, and I'm going to be real with you guys. When I get Mortal X Blade, one of the first things I'm going to test in Pure Fiction is my old Wombo combo. My favorite Wombo combo was Herta, Jade, Robin, and then Fu Xuan. That was my favorite Wombo combo. So, yeah, I mean, she's unironically, she's just one of the GOATs, man. Big ups, mini Herta. I still have her built. I don't have the heart to de-relic her and take off her light cone. So she gets the cook over here. I'm most likely gonna boot her up as well at some point. Asta is, I mean this unironically, Asta is the greatest 4-star in the existence of this game. I mean that. I'm not joking. Like somebody like, ha ha ha. No, I'm serious. She is literally the best 4-star in the existence of the game. Her ability to provide the amount of speed that she provides, the flat speed that she provides, is pretty goddamn substantial, right? And because of how many units nowadays love that additional speed, so Super Wolf, Cyrene, those sort of characters, being able to throw a DDD on her, an S5 DDD, and use those characters in sustainless is legitimately unmatched. One of the reasons why Cyrene and Evernight can continue to do low cost clears at the highest level is literally because of Asta. I'm not even joking. Literally, if you go on the Genius Archive, you'll see that the best clears with Evernight and Cyrene is using her, so E9, Cyrene, RMC, Asta. There is no 4-star in the game that enables those types of low cost clears at the highest level like Asta does. There isn't any. She is the best 4-star in the history of the game, and she is the first 4-star that everybody gets. So, just being very clear about that, massive respect to Asta. There was a time where I didn't have a lot of use cases for her, except for, I think, during the time frame where I was going through my E6 Himiko phase, where I was basically using her and sustainless clears everywhere. And yeah, she's been super goated, really valuable unit. You know, throw a messenger on her or whatever the heck that you want to throw on her with a DDD, and you can still do a lot of stupid things with her. I don't think that they're ever going to make a 5-star variation of Asta. I just don't think that it's going to happen, because she is legitimately too strong. If they were, well, she would be too strong. Whoever that 5-star variation would be, they would be too strong. If you basically said modern day limited sustain that can provide 50 speed to your whole goddamn team, no, they're never. If they do that, I'll put my hands to the sky and be like, you got it, Hoyo. I can't believe you've done this. But that's Asta for you. So very goated, very goated 4-star support. Next, we got Sunday. I pulled him around the same time that I pulled Fugue. I have him at E0 as well, free to play. Obviously, I don't have a bunch of limited eidolons on all my characters. I still use him to this day. I'm very much hoping that he gets a Nova Flare. I heard that he was supposed to get a Nova Flare, and that if he gets a Nova Flare, his E1, you see this, where the target character can ignore 16% of a target's defense and their summon, and ignore 40% of an enemy's defense to deal damage. Well, if they were to Nova Flare him, allegedly, heavy emphasis on allegedly, this will become a unrestricted E1, meaning that the summon requirement will no longer be needed. It would just be a flat defense ignore on whoever he targets. So there are some people who were trying to buy into Sunday stocks. They were sitting there plotting, rubbing their hands together like Birdman and start pulling for E1 Sundays because they expect that. Then they panicked when they heard that Sunday's Nova Flare was going to be canceled. And now they're kind of regaining a bit of copium that he's going to be Nova Flared. So do I know whether or not he's going to be Nova Flared 100%? No, I don't, because the source that provided that information is considered quote unquote unreliable. Some people take them seriously, some people don't. So whether or not you believe them or not are up to you. I'm inclined to believe that Sunday is going to get Nova Flared because it would make sense. Why? Because of Nova Himiko. That's most likely the reason why Welt got buffed. It didn't make sense at the time, which is the reason why I was questioning it. I said, what is the purpose of this E4 Welt? Hoyoverse? What is this for? What team is it going to be on? It can't just be for Acheron. That's not possible. It has to be something else beyond that. And it's most likely going to be because of Nova Himiko. So if they were to Nova Flare Sunday, it would most definitely be because of Nova Himiko. So if he comes along and he gets an unrestricted E1, gets some better amplification capabilities, and can provide energy to the entire team, yeah, that would be a pretty substantial buff. So I have a lot of use cases for him, still use him to this day, but he only really supports my older units because modern units like Evanesha and Casterus and Evernight and so on and so forth don't really use Sunday. But he's still here. I still like him. I'm hoping that I can get some stonks once he gets Nova Flared, but we gotta wait and see. Archer, my man, my guy. I didn't really believe the hype when he came out. I'm not gonna lie, but I ended up getting him with 100% crit rate on him, and yeah, he's done pretty well. I do not have any Eidolons on him. I wish I had him at E1, but I don't. Sucks to be me. I'm considering getting the E1, but I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see what happens when Ring comes out, and now make me decide whether or not I want to do that or not. Because realistically, I don't need him that much. If I were to use him, it'd just be shits and giggles. He's not really required for me to do well. I have my two main teams that I do well with, so he would just be a backup team or a backup character that I would use. But yeah, pretty good, pretty solid. I was able to do a true zero cycle with him, I want to say like 4 or 5 months ago. So yeah, he's still overall really strong, and it's only going to get stronger if the dreams are believed to be true. Of course, I'm using him with my Seele Light Cone because I'm not using Seele right now, and it does work pretty well. So that's that. Fu Xuan was the second limited support or sustain that I got. Got her E1 because that additional crit damage was pretty massive for me at the time, due to the fact that building crit stats is a pain in the ass. So she really saved my ass for well over 2 years. Very solid support, very solid sustain. However, she does need to get a bit of a Nova Flare. But as I said in my last video, you do have the use case where she is capable of blocking debuffs, these stupid ass undispellable debuffs that the developers keep throwing out there so that you guys can buy your Silver Wolf and ignore it with a global passive. Yeah, Fu Xuan was the original GOAT of being able to stop those debuffs. So she's still here, still solid, just not meta. Sparkle, I don't have a lot to say about her. Insanely powerful unit. When she first came out, I didn't believe. I said, this character isn't like that. She's not good. I know that if you guys watch Mr. Pokey, he was dead set on glazing this character until the end of time. But it didn't work out for him. Robin ended up coming out after her and made her look like shit. So imagine my goddamn surprise when they Nova Flared Sparkle and made her one of the best Harmony units to ever exist in the game. Yeah, that was beyond my expectations. But hey, at least I got her for free. And if you decided to go for E2 freaking Sparkle or E1 Sparkle back in the day, well, now you're just bragging. Like you lucked into this. All right, I'll give you your credit, but you lucked into it. Let's be real. She's really, really good. She's one of the best in the game, and she most likely is going to be one of the best for the entirety of this version. So I'm going to continue using her, especially now that allegedly Ren is going to be a Archer support, and I got to test that out. It's most likely going to be Archer, Sparkle, Ren, and me personally, I'm most likely going to try to use Ho-Ho with them if I can, just because the ability to energy funnel for both of these characters is pretty valuable. But if I had to guess, DHPT will also work pretty well, unless they give Ren the capability of providing energy to Archer, which would definitely help with the energy economy. We gotta wait and see what happens with that. Next is Jade, who I literally pulled on a whim, July 12th, 2024. Yeah, literally pulled her for no discernible reason aside from the fact that she was fun. That was it. There's no other logical reasoning for it. I just pulled her for fun because I saw that what she was able to do with Mini Herta, and I thought that shit was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious, and I literally pulled it for shits and giggles. So I still have her built. She's still here. I don't use her anymore, but she was one of the GOATs for my Pure Fiction runs for well over a year. So I don't really regret it because she allowed me to keep 3-starring and eventually 80k Pure Fiction. I got no beef with Jade. Honestly, I kind of wish that I had her E1. But Jade is one of the least pulled 5-stars of literally all time. People didn't like her as a character, and people didn't like the way that she played. So the overwhelming majority of players skipped her, but I didn't. I'm weird like that. I like to pull for some lesser value characters sometimes, and she is definitely one of them. I've had a lot of fun with her. Maybe we can do some testing with that Wombo combo later. Cypher, another unit that is one of the least pulled 5-stars of all time. I love Cypher. She's one of the best 5-stars that I've ever pulled. She's the reason why I was able to do my first true zero cycle, and I don't regret using her at all. She basically power crept Zhao Q. Yeah, she's kind of sitting on my account right now, but again, circling back to Morinax Blade, I can use Cypher with Morinax Blade in my Casterus split. So I am going to test that and see how that works. I hope that is good, because I need something for that. And I'm also going to be using her for my Acheron teams. I don't know whether or not I'm going to invest in her Eidolons, but most likely not, because I don't want to spend the money on it. But I will think about it. I am considering it. So there's that. Cypher's is still solid. She has fell off, but she is definitely pretty good, without question. Casterus. Casterus is at E0. She is one of the better built characters on my account. She is one of my GOATs of my account. If it was not for her, version 3 would have been very, 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 very miserable for me. She was also a part of my first true zero cycle on my account, and that was well before Cyrene came out. So people, for some reason, think that Casterus is useless, that Casterus is going to somehow vanish from Mono Realm, that she's going to get replaced. I hate to tell you that's not happening. You can keep trying to Make it appear, make that happen, make that be a thing. It's not happening. People think, oh, you don't use Castress like that anymore, so she must be useless. No, that's not even remotely close to true. I still use her. I literally did 4 king clears with her. I get 0 cycle night clears with her. Useless? Who told you that? Wasn't me. But hey, if 4 king 3-star clears is useless, then shit, what does that make everyone else? I guess we'll never know. But if she's at E0, I don't know whether or not I'm going to invest in Eidolons into her, but if I were to, I would probably get her E2, because her E2 is like, it's insanely good. Like really, 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 really good. It's not as good as E2 Evernight, but for the average player, it's up there. And now with the existence of Mordenex's Blade, the split becomes even more viable. So that's one of the things I'm going to test here once I start getting some Uneric shards on my account. Next is Saber. My Saber, as you can see, is pretty fucking well built. The problem is that she has no dedicated support, which is a shame. I literally went out of my way to pull her, even though realistically I probably shouldn't have. But I didn't care, right? I like Saber. I have been I guess I would say I've been a casual Fate fan for nearly a decade. My first Fate anime that I watched was Fate Zero. Then I got deeper into it with the Fate Abridged series. Then I watched Fate Stay Night 2011. Then I watched Prisma Ilia, whatever the fuck that shit is called. God, that anime is horrible. I wish I never watched it. I wish I could bleach my goddamn eyes of watching that trash. And then, the greatest thing to have graced my eyeballs, Unlimited Blade Works, came out. And that was one of my favorite anime of all time. So of course, when one of my favorite characters dropped, this is one of the most popular damn characters of all. When I say Saber is literally one of the most popular characters in all of fiction, I'm not making that up. She's literally one of the most popular characters in all of fiction. I had to get her. It had to happen. But unfortunately, as it stands right now, even with my solid build, it's not good enough to actually do really well in today's meta. So it is what it is. Basically, I've had to sit here and rely on my Sunday and my Robin to keep it relevant. It just hasn't been enough, right? Of course, I could throw in Cyrene, but unless you have her E2, it's a pain in the ass to get to that level where she's actually usable consistently with Saber. So I swear that Gilgamesh better be a dedicated support for Saber. I'm going to crash out, okay? It needs to happen. Hoyoverse, I'm about to pay y'all today a lot of money. Make it happen. All right? Jesus Christ.
I appreciate the sentiment.
Oh God.
It's nothing more than a daydream.
Let me relax. Let me calm down. I have so many things that I want to say about Fei Xiao. I love her so much. E0 Fei Xiao is one of the greatest DPS to have ever graced my account. I don't know if I'm worthy of her greatness. She was the reason why I was able to continue to do low-cost 0 cycles after she released. I actually believe I got my first Mach 12 0 cycle with her, Imaginary March 7th and Robin. She's so good. And I'm really hoping that Mordenex's Blade is everything that he is chalked up to be, because I really want to start using my Fei Xiao again. I've had to basically put her in the back burner. I spent over a half a year getting this build. Over 134 speed, 85 over 140. I spent a half a year getting here. And even with this build, I was still able to do sustainless clears last year in Anomaly Arbitration. I was able to do it in Apocalyptic Shadow. I cannot emphasize how much that I like this character. She is one of the greatest characters to ever released in this game. One of the best DPS all time. Which is the reason why it makes me so goddamn sad that they put all this effort into amping up Firefly and just left my face out in the cold. But it's okay. That changes today. And Blade is going to come and save the day. I hope. Not a lot to say about Hyacinth. Broken? Meta warping? Disgusting? All of those things apply to this little cute girl of joy. Insanely powerful. I don't, again, beyond my comprehension, why people just skip this character. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'll never understand it. But I do have her with Messenger. I think I have some pretty good pieces on her, but there are some improvements that need to be made. But yeah, I mean, she's insanely good. I put a lot of investment into making this Hyacinth as good as possible. So, big ups Hyacinth. There's not, like I said, there's not a lot that I can really say about her. She's just really good. Guys, this is lit. This character is the reason why I started making content. Think about that. This character is the reason why I started making content. This little healer here. I was so tired of people disrespecting Bailu that I literally went out of my way to start making content to directly counter this bullshit. This is still, to this day, one of the greatest healers to have ever blessed this game. And the only reason why she does not have a cleanse is because if she did, then they wouldn't have been able to sell Hyacinth as easily as they did. And that's something that people don't understand. They're not capable of critical thinking. Hyacinth got her goddamn blueprint off of Bailu. I'm not joking. Their kits and what they do is very similar. It's just that Hyacinth is much better at it. Now, if you see how meta warping Hyacinth is, you can imagine how meta warping it would have been to basically have that the instant the game booted up. So that's the reason why they've kind of let her out to dry, if that makes any sense. Because she doesn't really need anything right now. If you're talking about who can sustain at the highest level of content against the knights, against the king, she can still do it easily, without question. The only time that she struggles, of course, is going to be when there's undispellable debuffs. But Hyacinth would struggle against that too. So moot point, right? She's one of the best to ever do it. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been able to take my account as far as I did. I owe this character a great deal. I really do. So everybody can continue to disrespect Bailu for as long as they want. I don't really care. It doesn't make a difference to me at this point in the game. But this is one of the greatest to ever do it. I owe her a great deal. Thank you, Bailu. My Acheron is pretty insane, all things considered. So according to Sele Land, I have a top 1% Acheron. This is most likely actually true. So I've done a lot with her. I owe her a great deal as well. I'm going to try to wrap all this shit up because I know I've been going for well over an hour now. There's a reason why I wanted to do this do this separately, but it is what it is. I still have her at E0S1. I used her at E0S0 for a long period of time. And I'm going to continue to use her in the future. Hence why I'm getting more Next Blade. I already talked a great deal about Jinglu, so I'm not going to recap. She's one of the reasons why I kept doing sustainless clears. She has E1. She is the first DPS that I got with a limited Eidolon. And I am very much going to be testing her with more Next Blade as well. So, there's that. Ruron Mei, one of the GOATs. I don't have a lot to say about her that I haven't already said. I have her at E2. She was the first limited 5-star support that I ever got. Well, Harmony support that I ever got. and I don't regret it for a day. She has carried my account literally for 3 years. So yeah, one of the greatest to ever do it. Evernight, I have her at E1. Another great, so it's just a great DPS. At first, I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to pull her. I thought maybe, is she worth it? I don't know. But after I saw what I saw, that's why I made the changes to my tier list last year and put her in tier 0. And she's still tier 0 to this day. So I don't know if I'm going to get her E2 or not. But this is a pretty well-built Evernight from my perspective. But it's only top 27%. It's not that crazy. So we'll see if we can improve it a little bit further down the line. There's nothing else that I can say about Cyrene that I haven't already said. As I've already pointed out, I had a top 8% Cyrene. I don't know how it's now top 11%, but it is what it is. But she was top 8%. Now she's top 11%. Regardless, still one of the best Cyrenes that you'll ever lay your eyes on. And I'm pretty sure that this is probably one of the best free-to-play Cyrenes to exist in the entirety of the world. So feast your eyes on it, because soon it's not going to be a free-to-play Cyrene anymore. It's the best you're most likely going to see. And then after that, that's it. I want to be clear, I was doing 4 million damage. 4 million damage against a boss that has 40% ice res, while simultaneously reducing my damage by 20 to 30%. If I can do 4 million damage against that, what do you think I'm going to do when I get E2? You tell me. Of course, first standard banner DPS, the first standard that I got was Bailu. I have her at E6. She's just on my account collecting dust right now. Not really doing much with her. But I was able to get a lot of use cases out of her. I was able to use her in Pure Fiction, Memory of Chaos. Not so much Apocalyptic Shadow. But she was able to be used high level in Memory of Chaos and in Pure Fiction. I actually think I did my first Mach 12. No. Was that my first? Nah, it wasn't my first. I think my first Mach 12 sustainless was probably Fei Xiao. She was my second or third. I still like her, but she doesn't have a lot of use cases. So it is what it is. Hopefully, Himiko Nova is going to be massively better than her, and it'd be even better if this Himiko can work with her new self. Because, technically, this is a Astro Express member. Astro Express faction. Technically, there might be synergy there. Which means my E6 Himiko might actually get revived. But probably not. We can dream, though, right? I already talked about Zhao Q, already talked about Fugue. I don't really have anything to say about Yun Li because I literally just got her. I built her for shits and gigs. But I haven't done anything of note with her. So she's just kind of here. Bye, Yun Li. Next is Robin, who is my other GOAT. I got her to E2. She's the reason why I was able to do my second sustainless clear in Anomaly Arbitration against the King with Cyrene. I was not expecting that synergy to be that good, but she has carried my account for 3 years. So, if it wasn't for Robin and Ruan Mei, I most likely would have caved and pulled for Trippy. But I didn't want to do that under any circumstances. And I explained why, and now you guys know why. So yeah, Robin's like that. She is most likely going to be good continually just because of that 100% action advance, but she's not really going to be meta because nobody wants to bother learning how to optimize using this character. It is what it is. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. This is one of the best amplifiers of all time, but nobody really cares. Sucks to suck. moving on. We have DHPT, of course. No Eidolons. Got him for free. He's been pretty solid. But without any Eidolons or his signature light cone, he has fallen off for me a bit. I haven't used him as much. I actually prefer to do sustainless clears. I have always preferred to do sustainless clears for the most part. I've only started using sustains more often because the game necessitates that you use a sustain now. Because otherwise you get blasted into oblivion. But if I could go throughout my entirety of my quote-unquote HSR career without using a sustain, I absolutely would do it. But that's not how life works. So he's here. E0, S0. Huohuo, I wish that I could have picked up Huohuo when she first released, but I had already had Fu Xuan and Luocha at that time, so I didn't have any reasoning to actually pull her, so I skipped her. Worked out for me because I ended up getting her for free. Really good sustain unit. The ability to funnel energy into your entire team is something that I wish that I had again since her release. But I had to basically suffer in silence without her and had to learn how to use my Robin without her, which made me a better player, to be fair. So I guess it's a good thing that I didn't grab her because it forced me to evolve as a player. Basically, playing without Huohuo with Robin is like playing with the training wheels off and also playing with like one wheel. Like you're riding around a bike with one wheel effectively. You get the Huohuo, now you got a two-wheeled bicycle. So yeah, she's really, really good. I don't get the hate that this character has gotten. She's solid, really solid. I may get her E1 at some point, but I gotta think about it. We'll see how it plays out. Yao Guang, not a lot to say about her. She's one of the glues for Elation. And I don't know if I'm gonna get her E1 because her E1 is very good. But I'm most likely just gonna get her light cone today. That's what I want to do. And I'll think about whether or not I want to get that E1 or not. I would rather just get E1 Evanesha, but like many other players like me, we got unlucky and we're unable to do it. So it is what it is, I guess. Next, we have the Elation Trailblazer, who I hate with a passion. That's better. The Remembrance Trailblazer is one of the greatest free characters to have ever released in the game. And that's the reason why you're going to see I put so much effort into his build. He is one of the reasons why I was able to continue to sustainless clear with my Fei Xiao. He extended the lifespan of both my Fei Xiao and Acheron for well over a year. And he sustained the basically increased the lifespan of a bunch of other characters as well, including Robin. So I don't know how we went from one of the greatest free characters to have ever blessed our accounts to Elation Trailblazer, who is legitimately useless outside of Elation. But it is what it is. Excuse me. Last but not least, we have Evanesha, who I am going to get E1 the next time that she reruns. I'm very disappointed that I wasn't able to get it, but she is very, very solid, very, very strong. So that's about it. But yeah, it's over. This free-to-play saga that we were on. I mean, it's pretty much GG's. Like I said, I did my best. Got 5 sustainless clears. Well, not 5 sustainless clears. I got 5 3-star king clears. I was able to get to A8 in the Currency Wars X7. I got the X8 Max in the simulated universe. Got my true 0 cycles. I got my high level clears. I don't have anything else to prove. Nobody really cares about me being a free to play, so I'm gonna enjoy the game the way that I want from here on out. Spend responsibly. Don't waste money that you don't have. I have a lot of money in my somewhere else that I can pull from that will allow me to purchase what I want to purchase. So don't waste money if you don't want to. But it has been 1,109 days since I started doing this free-to-play stuff, and it ends today. It is what it is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the journey, for those that have been sticking around me for this entire time, but it's time to bring it to an end so that we can actually start doing what we want to do. More X Blade. Here I come. That's it for me. Free-to-play artist as you know him is done. Later, guys. I'll be back.
Hidden my strength beside my grief and sorrow. Keeping the light on in the dark place was a pain. Been trying to be the best, it's been a war within. Losing, but I felt like I was born to win. I was born to win, I was born to be great. The sun may never shine upon the hero,